My name is Elena Vasquez, and I am 31 years old. My sister took my $300,000 inheritance with my entire family's support, claiming I was too irresponsible to handle such a significant sum. Then the IRS audit began, and everything they thought they knew about money, responsibility, and family loyalty was about to change forever. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Standing in my corner office on the 42nd floor of the Meridian Financial Tower, watching the city lights begin to twinkle as evening approaches, I often reflect on the journey that brought me to this position as Senior Vice President of Investment Strategy at one of the nation's most prestigious wealth management firms. The panoramic view stretches across the metropolitan skyline, a daily reminder of how far I have traveled from the modest suburban home where my story began, and how the most painful betrayals can sometimes redirect us toward our greatest achievements. My childhood was shaped by the steady presence of my grandmother, Isabella Vasquez, a woman whose life story read like a testament to the power of financial discipline and strategic thinking. Isabella had emigrated from Colombia in the 1960s with limited English and even more limited resources. But she possessed an intuitive understanding of money management that would transform her family's economic trajectory over the subsequent decades. While working multiple jobs to support her growing family, she simultaneously built a modest but diversified investment portfolio that grew steadily through careful reinvestment and compound interest. Isabella's approach to wealth building was methodical and patient, characteristics that stood in stark contrast to the instant gratification culture that surrounded us during my formative years. She maintained detailed records of every financial transaction, tracking expenses in leather-bound ledgers that she kept meticulously organized in her bedroom dresser. These records served not only as practical tools for managing her finances, but also as teaching materials during the countless hours she spent educating me about the principles of sound money management. During my childhood visits to Isabella's small apartment, she would spread these ledgers across her kitchen table and walk me through the entries, explaining how each purchase decision contributed to or detracted from her long-term financial objectives. She taught me to distinguish between needs and wants, to understand the true cost of debt, and to appreciate the power of consistent saving and intelligent investing. These lessons were presented not as abstract concepts, but as practical skills that would determine my ability to achieve independence and security throughout my adult life. Isabella's investment strategy focused primarily on blue-chip stocks and government bonds, conservative choices that reflected her risk-averse temperament and her determination to preserve capital while achieving steady growth. She explained that wealth building was not about making dramatic gains through speculative investments, but rather about making consistent progress through disciplined decision-making and patient accumulation. Her portfolio statements became textbooks that taught me to read financial documents, understand market trends, and evaluate investment opportunities based on fundamental analysis rather than emotional reactions. The apartment where Isabella lived was modest by most standards, furnished with second-hand pieces that she had carefully selected for quality and functionality rather than appearance. However, this apparent frugality masked the substantial wealth she was accumulating through decades of careful financial management. She drove a 15-year-old sedan that she maintained meticulously, lived in the same rent-controlled apartment for 20 years, and prepared most of her meals at home using ingredients purchased with coupons and during sales. These lifestyle choices were not the result of financial necessity, but rather deliberate strategies for maximizing the resources available for investment and wealth building. My parents, Carlos and Maria Vasquez, maintained a more conventional relationship with money that emphasized current consumption over long-term planning. Carlos worked as a supervisor at a manufacturing plant, while Maria taught elementary school, providing the family with stable middle-class income that supported a comfortable but unremarkable lifestyle. They owned a modest 3-bedroom home in a suburban neighborhood, drove reliable but unexceptional vehicles, and took annual vacations to destinations within driving distance. Their financial approach was neither reckless nor particularly strategic, representing the typical American family's balance between current needs and future security. The contrast between Isabella's disciplined wealth building and my parents' conventional spending patterns created ongoing tension within the family, particularly during holiday gatherings, when financial topics inevitably arose in conversation. Isabella would advocate for increased saving and investment, while my parents defended their preference for enjoying their income through travel, dining out, and purchasing consumer goods that enhance their current quality of life. These discussions often became heated, revealing fundamental philosophical differences about the purpose of money and the appropriate balance between present enjoyment and future security. My younger sister Carmen aligned herself firmly with my parents' perspective on financial matters, demonstrating little interest in Isabella's lessons about money management and displaying a pronounced preference for immediate gratification over long-term planning. Carmen excelled in social situations and creative pursuits, but she struggled with the mathematical concepts and delayed gratification required for effective financial management. Her spending habits during adolescence reflected this orientation, as she consistently exhausted her allowance and part-time job earnings on clothing, entertainment, and social activities rather than saving any portion for future needs. The relationship between Carmen and Isabella was cordial but distant, lacking the deep connection that had developed between Isabella and myself through our shared interest in financial strategy and investment analysis. Carmen viewed Isabella's frugal lifestyle as unnecessarily restrictive and her focus on wealth building as obsessive, failing to appreciate the security and opportunities that disciplined financial management could provide. This fundamental misunderstanding would later contribute to the family conflicts that arose when Isabella's estate planning decisions became known. During my teenage years, Isabella began involving me more directly in her investment decisions, teaching me to research companies, analyze financial statements, and evaluate market conditions before making purchase or sale decisions. These practical lessons extended far beyond theoretical knowledge, providing hands-on experience with the tools and techniques used by professional investors. Isabella would assign me research projects about specific companies or market sectors, requiring me to present my findings and recommendations during our weekly financial review sessions. These research assignments taught me to think critically about business fundamentals, competitive positioning, and economic trends that could affect investment performance. Isabella insisted that every investment decision be supported by thorough analysis rather than speculation or emotional reactions to market volatility. She taught me to view market downturns as opportunities to purchase quality investments at discounted prices, rather than reasons to panic and sell holdings at losses. This contrarian approach required discipline and confidence that would prove invaluable throughout my career in financial services. The practical experience I gained through managing Isabella's investment portfolio during my late teenage years provided knowledge and skills that exceeded what most finance majors acquired during their undergraduate education. By the time I graduated from high school, I had personally executed dozens of investment transactions, analyzed hundreds of companies, and experienced multiple market cycles that taught me to maintain perspective during both bull and bear markets. This experience gave me confidence in my analytical abilities and confirmed my interest in pursuing a career in financial services. Isabella's pride in my financial acumen was evident in the increasing responsibility she delegated to me regarding her investment decisions and estate planning considerations. She frequently consulted with me about portfolio adjustments, tax planning strategies, and long-term financial goals that would affect her estate's value and distribution. These conversations provided insight into the complex considerations involved in wealth transfer planning and introduced me to the legal and tax implications of different estate planning strategies. During my senior year of high school, Isabella began discussing her intentions regarding estate planning and inheritance distribution, conversations that would later prove prophetic in their implications for family relationships and financial justice. She expressed concern about ensuring that her wealth would be used responsibly and effectively by her beneficiaries, rather than squandered through poor financial decisions or lifestyle choices that conflicted with the values that had enabled her to accumulate such substantial assets. These concerns reflected her deep understanding of how quickly wealth could be dissipated through careless management or inappropriate spending priorities. Isabella's estate planning philosophy emphasized rewarding family members who demonstrated financial responsibility and sound judgment while providing appropriate protection for those who lacked the skills or temperament necessary for effective wealth management. She believed that inheritance should serve as a tool for enhancing recipients' security and opportunities, rather than enabling irresponsible behavior or creating dependency relationships that discouraged personal achievement and self-reliance. This approach required careful consideration of each potential beneficiary's character, capabilities, and likely use of inherited assets. The discussions about estate planning revealed Isabella's deep concern about the potential for inheritance to create family conflicts and resentment among beneficiaries who might receive different treatment based on their demonstrated financial responsibility and life choices. She had observed numerous families torn apart by inheritance disputes and was determined to structure her estate plan in ways that would minimize such conflicts while ensuring that her wealth would be used in accordance with her values and objectives. These conversations taught me valuable lessons about the complex human dynamics surrounding wealth transfer and the importance of clear communication about financial expectations and responsibilities. As my high school graduation approached, Isabella's health began to decline gradually due to diabetes and cardiovascular issues that required increasing medical attention and lifestyle modifications. Despite these health challenges, she remained actively involved in managing her investment portfolio and continued our weekly financial planning sessions with only minor adjustments to accommodate her reduced energy levels. Her determination to maintain control over her financial affairs reflected both her passionate commitment to wealth building and her desire to ensure that her final investment decisions would maximize the legacy she could leave to her beneficiaries. The progression of Isabella's health issues created urgency around completing her estate planning documents and ensuring that her financial affairs were organized in ways that would facilitate smooth administration after her death. She worked closely with an estate planning attorney to draft comprehensive wills, trusts, and other legal documents that would implement her distribution strategy while minimizing tax obligations and administrative complexities. These legal preparations provided additional learning opportunities for me as Isabella explained the rationale behind each provision and the potential consequences of different structural choices. Isabella's declining health also prompted conversations about my future educational and career plans, discussions that revealed her intention to provide financial support for my undergraduate and graduate education in exchange for my commitment to pursuing excellence in academic and professional achievement. She viewed educational investment as one of the most effective uses of wealth, providing benefits that could never be taken away, and creating opportunities for earning potential that would far exceed the initial investment cost. This perspective influenced my decision to pursue a degree in finance with the intention of building a career in investment management or financial planning. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. The summer before my departure for college, Isabella's condition stabilized sufficiently to allow for several extended conversations about financial markets, investment strategy, and the career opportunities available in various segments of the financial services industry. These discussions provided valuable guidance about educational choices, internship opportunities, and professional development strategies that would maximize my potential for success in a highly competitive field. Isabella's insights reflected decades of observation and analysis of financial markets and economic trends that had informed her investment decisions and wealth-building strategies. As I prepared to leave home for my freshman year at the State University's highly regarded business school, Isabella presented me with a leather portfolio containing copies of all her investment records, estate planning documents, and financial statements. She explained that these documents represented both a historical record of her wealth-building journey and a practical reference guide for the financial principles and strategies that had enabled her success. The portfolio also contained a detailed letter outlining her expectations for my academic performance and professional development, along with her hopes for how I would eventually use the knowledge and resources she was providing. The weight of Isabella's expectations and the magnitude of her financial legacy created both motivation and pressure as I began my undergraduate studies in finance and investment management. I understood that her decision to invest in my education represented not only financial support, but also a vote of confidence in my potential to carry forward her commitment to financial responsibility and strategic wealth building. This understanding influenced every academic and professional decision I made throughout my college years, as I was constantly aware that my performance would either validate or disappoint the faith she had placed in my abilities. The transition to college life provided my first opportunity to apply Isabella's financial lessons independently, as I managed the educational funds she had provided while maintaining the disciplined spending habits she had taught me. Unlike many of my classmates who struggled with credit card debt and financial stress, I was able to focus entirely on academic achievement and professional development, because Isabella's support had eliminated financial pressures that might otherwise have required part-time employment or student loans. This advantage allowed me to pursue unpaid internships and research opportunities that enhanced my education and career prospects. During my sophomore year, Isabella's health took a significant turn for the worse, requiring hospitalization and intensive medical treatment that would ultimately prove unsuccessful in halting the progression of her underlying conditions. Despite her declining physical condition, she remained mentally sharp and continued to take active interest in my academic progress and career development plans. Our conversations during her final months provided additional insights into her investment philosophy and her hopes for how her financial legacy would influence my future achievements and contributions to the family's economic welfare. The news of Isabella's passing reached me during final exams of my junior year, creating emotional devastation that was complicated by the immediate need to travel home for funeral arrangements and estate settlement procedures. Her death represented not only the loss of my closest family relationship, but also the end of my primary source of financial education and career guidance. The void left by her absence would prove difficult to fill, as no other family member possessed her combination of financial expertise, strategic thinking, and commitment to long-term wealth building. The reading of Isabella's will took place in the offices of her estate planning attorney, a formal proceeding that would reveal the distribution of her substantial assets and provide the first indication of the family conflicts that would soon emerge. The assembled family members included my parents, Carmen, several aunts and uncles, and myself, all of whom had different expectations and assumptions about how Isabella's wealth would be distributed among her beneficiaries. The tension in the room was palpable as the attorney began reviewing the provisions of the will and explaining the rationale behind Isabella's distribution decisions. Isabella's estate plan reflected the careful consideration and strategic thinking that had characterized all of her financial decisions throughout her adult life. The total value of her assets exceeded what most family members had anticipated, reaching nearly $800,000 through decades of disciplined saving and intelligent investing. However, the distribution of these assets would prove far more controversial than their magnitude, as Isabella had structured her bequests to reward demonstrated financial responsibility, while providing appropriate protection for beneficiaries who lacked the necessary skills for effective wealth management. The primary beneficiaries of Isabella's estate were myself and Carmen, but the provisions governing our inheritances differed significantly in ways that reflected Isabella's assessment of our respective financial capabilities and likely use of inherited assets. My inheritance of $300,000 was structured as an immediate distribution that would provide maximum flexibility for investment, education, or other strategic uses that aligned with my demonstrated financial acumen and career objectives. This structure reflected Isabella's confidence in my ability to manage substantial assets responsibly and effectively, while continuing to build wealth through sound financial decisions. Carmen's inheritance, while equal in nominal value to my own, was structured quite differently through the establishment of a trust that would provide monthly distributions over a 20-year period, while preserving the principal balance for eventual distribution to her children. This structure reflected Isabella's concerns about Carmen's spending habits and financial management skills, providing steady income while preventing the possibility of squandering the entire inheritance through poor decisions or lifestyle choices that conflicted with Isabella's values regarding money and wealth building. The disparity between the inheritance structures immediately created tension among family members who interpreted Isabella's trust provisions as a judgment about Carmen's character and capabilities, rather than a practical response to demonstrated differences in financial responsibility and management skills. Carmen was devastated by what she perceived as preferential treatment and lack of confidence in her abilities, while my parents viewed the trust structure as unnecessarily restrictive and potentially insulting to Carmen's intelligence and maturity. These reactions revealed fundamental misunderstandings about estate planning principles and the legitimate considerations that influence distribution decisions. The attorney's explanation of Isabella's rationale for the different inheritance structures provided some context for understanding her decision-making process, but this information did little to reduce the emotional impact on family members who felt that the distribution plan reflected unfair favoritism or inappropriate judgments about their worthiness as beneficiaries. The reading of the will concluded with detailed instructions about account transfers, trust administration, and other practical matters that would be necessary to implement Isabella's wishes. But the underlying family tensions created by the distribution plan would continue to escalate in the weeks and months that followed. The immediate aftermath of the will reading was characterized by heated discussions among family members about the fairness and appropriateness of Isabella's distribution decisions, conversations that revealed deep-seated resentments and competing interpretations of family relationships and financial responsibility. My parents argued that equal treatment would have been more appropriate and fair, while I maintained that Isabella's decisions reflected legitimate considerations about financial capability and responsible asset management. These disagreements created divisions within the family that would prove difficult to resolve and would ultimately lead to the conflicts that would define the next phase of this story. As the estate settlement process began, I found myself in the position of defending both Isabella's memory and her distribution decisions against family members who viewed the inheritance structure as evidence of favoritism and poor judgment. This conflict placed me in an increasingly isolated position within the family, as my support for Isabella's estate plan was interpreted as agreement with negative assessments of Carmen's capabilities and worthiness. The pressure to modify or challenge the will's provisions intensified as family members began to view me as the primary obstacle to achieving what they considered a more equitable distribution of Isabella's assets. The foundation of trust that had been built through years of shared financial education and collaborative investment management would soon be tested by family pressures and emotional manipulation designed to alter the distribution of Isabella's carefully planned estate. The lessons I had learned about financial responsibility, strategic thinking, and the importance of honoring commitments would prove essential as I navigated the complex family dynamics and ethical challenges that lay ahead. The true test of Isabella's investment in my education and character development was about to begin, as the family's response to her estate plan would reveal the depth of their commitment to the values and principles she had worked so diligently to instill. The weeks following Isabella's funeral and the estate settlement became a period of profound personal transformation as I navigated the complex emotional landscape of grief while simultaneously managing the practical responsibilities associated with inheriting substantial financial assets. The $300,000 that transferred into my investment accounts represented far more than monetary value. It embodied decades of Isabella's disciplined wealth building and her confidence in my ability to honor her legacy through responsible financial stewardship, and continued educational excellence. My return to the university campus for my senior year carried additional weight and purpose, as I recognized that my academic performance would serve as the first test of whether Isabella's investment in my education and character development would yield the results she had envisioned. The finance curriculum during my final year focused on advanced investment analysis, portfolio management theory, and corporate financial strategy, subjects that directly related to the practical experience I had gained through years of collaboration with Isabella on her investment decisions and estate planning considerations. The professors who taught these advanced courses were accomplished professionals with extensive experience in investment banking, asset management, and financial consulting, providing access to industry insights and networking opportunities that would prove invaluable for launching my career in financial services. Dr. Elizabeth Morrison, who led the Advanced Portfolio Management Seminar, had previously worked as a senior analyst at several prominent investment firms before transitioning to academic research and teaching. Her practical experience and theoretical expertise created learning opportunities that bridged the gap between classroom concepts and real-world application. During the Portfolio Management Seminar, I presented a comprehensive analysis of Isabella's investment strategy and performance over the previous decade, examining her asset allocation decisions, security selection methodology, and risk management, approaches in the context of academic portfolio theory and modern investment principles. This presentation provided an opportunity to honor Isabella's memory while demonstrating the practical application of theoretical concepts to actual investment management situations. The analysis revealed that Isabella's intuitive approach to investing had consistently outperformed standard market benchmarks through disciplined fundamental analysis and patient long-term holding strategies. Dr. Morrison's feedback on my presentation acknowledged both the quality of the analytical work and the emotional significance of examining Isabella's investment legacy through an academic lens. She suggested that my unique combination of practical experience and theoretical knowledge positioned me well for success in institutional asset management roles that required both analytical rigor and client relationship skills. This encouragement validated my career aspirations while providing confidence that Isabella's educational investment would generate the professional opportunities she had envisioned for my future. The networking opportunities available through the Business School's Alumni Association and industry partnerships became increasingly important as I began the job search process during my final semester. The finance program maintained relationships with numerous investment firms, commercial banks, and financial consulting companies that regularly recruited graduates for entry-level analyst positions and management training programs. These relationships provided access to internship opportunities, informational interviews, and formal recruitment processes that might otherwise have been difficult to access as a first-generation college graduate without family connections in the financial services industry. My internship during the summer between my junior and senior years had been with Meridian Financial Group, a regional wealth management firm that specialized in serving high-net-worth individuals and institutional clients seeking comprehensive financial planning and investment management services. The internship provided exposure to client relationship management, investment research, and financial planning processes that complemented my academic education while offering practical experience with the software systems and analytical tools used by professional investment advisors and portfolio managers. The supervising manager for my internship, Robert Chen, was a senior vice president with 15 years of experience in wealth management and a strong track record of building client relationships while delivering superior investment performance. His mentorship style emphasized learning through observation and gradually increasing responsibility, allowing interns to develop confidence and competence through hands-on experience with real client situations and investment decisions. This approach provided invaluable preparation for the challenges and responsibilities I would encounter in full-time professional roles after graduation. Robert's assessment of my internship performance included recognition of my analytical abilities, client communication skills, and professional maturity, qualities that he attributed to my extensive background in investment analysis and my personal experience managing substantial financial assets. His recommendation letter for my permanent job applications emphasized my unique combination of theoretical knowledge and practical experience that distinguished me from typical entry-level candidates who lacked exposure to real-world investment management responsibilities and client relationship dynamics. The permanent position offer from Meridian Financial Group arrived during my final semester, providing an opportunity to join their management training program immediately after graduation with a starting salary of $65,000, plus performance-based bonuses and comprehensive benefits. This offer represented validation of my academic achievements and professional potential, while providing a clear pathway to building the career that Isabella had envisioned when she invested in my education and financial development. The position would involve 2 years of rotational assignments across different departments within the firm, followed by specialization in either investment research or client relationship management based on performance and interests. The decision to accept Meridian's offer was influenced by several factors beyond the immediate financial compensation and career advancement opportunities. The firm's reputation for ethical business practices and client-focused service aligned with the values that Isabella had emphasized throughout my financial education, while their commitment to professional development and continuing education would support my long-term career objectives in wealth management and investment advisory services. Additionally, the firm's location would allow me to remain in the same metropolitan area as my family, facilitating ongoing relationships despite the tensions that had emerged following Isabella's estate settlement. My graduation ceremony in May represented a milestone that carried profound personal significance as I reflected on the journey from Isabella's modest apartment kitchen, where I had first learned about investment analysis, to receiving a finance degree with highest honors from a respected business program. The academic achievements I had accumulated during my undergraduate years included membership in the Finance Honor Society, recognition as the outstanding student in investment analysis, and selection for the Dean's List during every semester of my college career. These accomplishments validated Isabella's confidence in my academic potential while demonstrating my commitment to excellence in financial education and professional preparation. The family members who attended my graduation ceremony offered congratulations and expressions of pride in my achievements, but the underlying tensions from the inheritance distribution continued to influence our interactions and limit the genuine celebration that might otherwise have characterized such a significant milestone. Carmen's absence from the ceremony was particularly noticeable, as she had chosen to spend that weekend on a vacation trip, rather than attending what she apparently viewed as another example of preferential treatment and excessive attention to my achievements compared to her own accomplishments and milestones. The contrast between my academic success and Carmen's ongoing struggles with college completion became an additional source of family tension, as my parents increasingly viewed my achievements as implicit criticism of Carmen's different choices and priorities. Carmen had changed her major 3 times during her undergraduate years, accumulated substantial student loan debt through extended enrollment, and appeared to be no closer to graduation than she had been 2 years earlier. My parents' response to this situation involved both defending Carmen's right to pursue her education at her own pace and expressing concern about the financial burden created by her extended enrollment and uncertain career prospects. My professional wardrobe purchases and apartment rental preparations during the weeks before starting my position at Meridian represented the first significant expenditures from Isabella's inheritance, decisions that required careful consideration of both practical needs and responsible financial management principles. The professional clothing requirements for client-facing roles in wealth management necessitated investment in quality suits, dress shirts, and accessories that would project appropriate credibility and competence when working with high net worth clients who expected sophisticated presentation and professional appearance from their financial advisors. The apartment selection process involved evaluating numerous options within reasonable commuting distance of Meridian's offices, while balancing rental costs against the quality and amenities that would support both professional success and personal satisfaction. The final choice was a one-bedroom unit in a professionally oriented building that offered fitness facilities, covered parking, and proximity to public transportation, providing both convenience and opportunities for networking. With other young professionals who were building careers in the financial services industry and related fields, the furniture and household equipment purchases required to establish my independent living situation represented another opportunity to apply Isabella's lessons about distinguishing between needs and wants while making purchasing decisions that balanced cost considerations with quality and long-term value. The approach I adopted emphasized buying fewer items of higher quality rather than purchasing inexpensive furnishings that would require frequent replacement, a strategy that reflected Isabella's philosophy about the importance of considering total cost of ownership rather than initial purchase price when making financial decisions. My first weeks at Meridian Financial Group involved comprehensive orientation training that covered the firm's investment philosophy, client service standards, compliance requirements, and technology systems used for portfolio management and client communication. The training program was designed to prepare new employees for success in their assigned roles, while ensuring adherence to the regulatory requirements and ethical standards that govern the financial services industry. This training provided additional education that complemented my academic preparation, while introducing me to the practical aspects of professional investment management and client relationship development. The rotational assignment structure of the management training program provided exposure to different functional areas within the firm, beginning with investment research, where I would analyze potential securities for inclusion in client portfolios, and contribute to the development of asset allocation recommendations based on market conditions and economic outlook. This assignment aligned well with my academic background and practical experience while providing opportunities to work with senior analysts who had extensive experience in security valuation and portfolio construction methodologies. The investment research team at Meridian consisted of experienced professionals with advanced degrees in finance, economics, and related fields, along with professional certifications such as the Chartered Financial Analyst designation that demonstrated their commitment to maintaining current knowledge and analytical skills. Working alongside these professionals provided access to sophisticated analytical tools and databases while offering mentorship from practitioners who had successfully navigated various market conditions and economic cycles throughout their careers. My initial research assignments involved conducting fundamental analysis of individual securities within specific industry sectors, examining financial statements, competitive positioning, and growth prospects to determine appropriate valuation, ranges, and investment recommendations. This work required application of the analytical techniques I had learned during my academic program, while adapting to the time constraints and client focus that characterized professional research environments. The quality and accuracy of my research reports would directly influence investment decisions that affected client portfolio performance and satisfaction. The client interaction component of my training began with observation of senior advisors during client meetings and telephone consultations, providing insight into effective communication techniques and relationship management strategies that contributed to client satisfaction and retention. These observations revealed the importance of translating complex financial concepts into language that clients could understand while maintaining professional credibility and demonstrating expertise in investment management and financial planning principles. The gradual assumption of greater responsibility within my research assignments reflected my supervisor's growing confidence in my analytical abilities and professional judgment, leading to opportunities to present research findings to senior investment committee members and contribute to strategic discussions about portfolio positioning and asset allocation decisions. These presentations required clear communication of complex analytical findings while defending research conclusions and recommendations under questioning from experienced professionals who evaluated both the quality of the analysis and the presenter's understanding of the underlying investment concepts. The performance evaluation process during my first year at Meridian involved quarterly reviews that assessed both technical competence and professional development progress, providing feedback that guided my continued learning and skill development efforts. The evaluations consistently recognized my strong analytical skills and professional attitude, while identifying areas for continued improvement in client communication and presentation skills that would become increasingly important as I progressed toward client-facing roles within the firm. The social aspects of professional life at Meridian included participation in industry conferences, client entertainment events, and continuing education programs that provided networking opportunities with other finance professionals while enhancing my knowledge of current market conditions and emerging trends in investment management. These activities contributed to my professional development while building relationships that would prove valuable throughout my career in financial services. The financial management of my personal assets during my first year of professional employment required balancing current living expenses with long-term investment objectives while continuing to apply the disciplined approach to wealth building that Isabella had taught me throughout my educational years. The combination of my entry-level salary and the inheritance from Isabella provided financial security that allowed me to focus entirely on professional development without the financial stress that affected many of my peers who were managing student loan obligations and limited savings while establishing their careers. The investment of Isabella's inheritance required careful consideration of asset allocation strategies, risk tolerance levels, and time horizon considerations that would optimize long-term growth potential while maintaining appropriate diversification and liquidity for potential future needs. The approach I adopted emphasized low-cost index funds and individual securities that met the fundamental analysis criteria that Isabella had taught me, creating a portfolio structure that honored her investment philosophy while adapting to current market conditions and my personal financial objectives. The family dynamics during my first year of professional employment continued to reflect the tensions that had emerged following Isabella's estate settlement, as my career success and financial independence created additional sources of comparison and potential resentment among family members who viewed my achievements as evidence of unfair advantages rather than the natural result of educational investment and professional dedication. These perceptions influenced family gathering discussions and limited opportunities for genuine celebration of professional milestones and achievements. Carmen's response to my career progress included expressions of support, mixed with subtle criticisms about the advantages I had received through Isabella's educational funding and inheritance distribution, comments that revealed her ongoing resentment about the trust structure that governed her own inheritance and limited her access to principal amounts that might have supported different lifestyle choices or educational opportunities. These tensions created awkwardness during family interactions while highlighting the continuing impact of Isabella's estate planning decisions on family relationships and dynamics. The contrast between my financial security and professional trajectory, compared to Carmen's continued academic struggles and uncertain career prospects, became an increasingly sensitive topic within family discussions, as my parents sought to balance pride in my achievements with concern about Carmen's self-esteem and future opportunities. This balancing act often resulted in conversations that minimized my accomplishments while emphasizing the challenges and external factors that contributed to Carmen's difficulties, creating an atmosphere where success was viewed as potentially harmful to family harmony rather than worthy of celebration and recognition. As my second year at Meridian began with promotion to senior research analyst and corresponding salary increase to $78,000, the foundation was being established for the family conflicts that would soon escalate into the betrayal and manipulation that would test everything Isabella had taught me about financial responsibility, family loyalty, and personal integrity. The professional success and financial stability I had achieved through educational excellence and career dedication would soon become the target of family members who viewed my resources as solutions to their own financial challenges and poor decisions. The transition into my third year at Meridian Financial Group marked a significant acceleration in both my professional responsibilities and the complexity of family dynamics that would soon challenge everything Isabella had taught me about financial stewardship and personal integrity. My promotion to senior investment analyst came with expanded authority over portfolio recommendations and direct client interaction responsibilities that required sophisticated understanding of market dynamics, risk management principles, and the psychological factors that influenced investor behavior during volatile market conditions. The enhanced role at Meridian involved leading research initiatives for institutional clients whose portfolios exceeded $10 million in assets under management, requiring analytical depth and presentation skills that could satisfy the sophisticated expectations of pension fund managers, endowment committees, and high-net-worth families who demanded exceptional performance and comprehensive risk analysis. These responsibilities represented substantial professional advancement for someone with less than 3 years of industry experience, reflecting both my demonstrated analytical capabilities and the firm's confidence in my potential for continued growth within their organization. Robert Chen, who had become my primary mentor and advocate within Meridian's leadership structure, assigned me to lead the research coverage for the technology sector, an area that required staying current with rapidly evolving business models, regulatory developments, and competitive dynamics that could significantly impact investment performance. The technology sector assignment was considered particularly challenging due to the volatility and complexity of the companies involved, but it offered opportunities for substantial career advancement if I could demonstrate mastery of the analytical skills and market insights necessary for successful performance in this demanding specialization. My analytical approach to technology sector research emphasized fundamental business analysis rather than momentum-based trading strategies, applying the patient long-term perspective that Isabella had taught me while adapting her conservative investment philosophy to growth-oriented companies that required different valuation methodologies and risk assessment techniques. This approach proved successful during market corrections when other analysts were recommending aggressive selling of technology positions. While my research suggested maintaining holdings in fundamentally strong companies that were experiencing temporary price declines due to market sentiment rather than deteriorating business prospects. The success of my technology sector recommendations during several market downturns earned recognition from both clients and senior management at Meridian, leading to invitations to present research findings at industry conferences and inclusion in high-level strategic planning discussions that would influence the firm's future direction and competitive positioning. These opportunities provided valuable exposure to decision-makers within the financial services industry while building the professional reputation that would support continued career advancement and potential entrepreneurial ventures in the future. The investment performance of Isabella's inheritance portfolio, which I continued to manage according to her disciplined fundamental analysis principles, consistently outperformed market benchmarks during my first 3 years of professional employment, growing from the original $300,000 to nearly $450,000 through careful security selection and patient long-term holding strategies. This performance provided additional validation of Isabella's investment philosophy, while demonstrating my ability to apply her teachings successfully in different market environments and economic conditions. The growth of my personal wealth through professional income and investment gains created additional financial security that allowed me to consider expanded educational opportunities, including pursuing an MBA degree or professional certifications that would enhance my qualifications for senior leadership positions within the financial services industry. The financial freedom provided by Isabella's inheritance and my successful career development meant that I could pursue advanced education without accumulating debt or compromising my current lifestyle, advantages that were not available to most young professionals at similar career stages. During this period of professional growth and financial success, family dynamics began to shift in ways that would soon create pressure for me to use my resources to address financial challenges that other family members were experiencing due to their own poor decisions and lack of financial discipline. Carmen's extended undergraduate enrollment had resulted in student loan debt exceeding $60,000 without any clear progress toward degree completion, while my parents were struggling with increased mortgage payments resulting from a variable rate loan that had reset to higher interest levels during a period of rising rates. The family's response to these financial challenges initially involved subtle hints about my ability to provide assistance, comments that gradually evolved into more direct suggestions that my inheritance and professional income created obligations to help family members who were experiencing difficulties. These suggestions were typically framed in terms of family loyalty and mutual support, rather than direct requests for financial assistance. But the underlying expectations became increasingly apparent during family gatherings and private conversations with individual family members. Carmen's approach to addressing her student loan obligations involved exploring various deferment and forgiveness programs while minimizing her course load to extend her eligibility for financial aid, strategies that postponed the debt service requirements but did nothing to address the underlying problem of accumulated debt without corresponding progress toward degree completion. Her reluctance to increase her course load or make significant lifestyle changes to accelerate degree completion reflected the same financial discipline problems that had concerned Isabella when structuring the inheritance distribution through a protective trust rather than immediate access to principal amounts. My parents' mortgage difficulties arose from their decision to refinance their home during a period of low interest rates without fully understanding the implications of the adjustable rate terms that would eventually increase their monthly payments substantially. Their failure to maintain adequate emergency reserves or consider refinancing to fixed-rate terms when rates began rising demonstrated the same lack of financial planning and risk management that distinguished their approach from Isabella's disciplined wealth-building strategies. The contrast between my growing financial security and the mounting problems experienced by other family members created an increasingly uncomfortable dynamic during family interactions, as conversations inevitably turned to financial topics and the various challenges that were affecting different family members. My reluctance to offer immediate financial solutions to problems that resulted from poor planning and lack of discipline was interpreted as selfishness rather than recognition that enabling poor financial behavior would ultimately harm rather than help the individuals involved. Robert Chen's mentorship during this period included discussions about the challenges that financial success could create within family relationships, particularly when family members had different values and approaches to money management. His own experience with family financial dynamics provided valuable perspective about the importance of maintaining appropriate boundaries while offering genuine support that encouraged responsibility rather than dependency. These conversations helped me understand that my reluctance to provide easy financial solutions was consistent with sound principles of family financial planning and personal development. The professional networking opportunities that accompanied my advancing career at Meridian included participation in industry associations and continuing education programs that exposed me to other young professionals who were navigating similar challenges related to family expectations and financial obligations. These interactions provided insights into different approaches to managing family financial relationships while maintaining personal financial goals and professional advancement opportunities that required substantial time and resource investments. My decision to pursue the Chartered Financial Analyst certification represented a significant commitment of time and financial resources that would enhance my professional qualifications while demonstrating continued dedication to excellence in investment analysis and portfolio management. The certification program required extensive study and examination over an 18-month period, along with fees and materials costs that totaled nearly $5,000, representing an investment in professional development that would pay dividends throughout my career in financial services. The family's reaction to my decision to pursue advanced professional certification was mixed, with some members expressing pride in my continued educational achievements, while others questioned the necessity of additional credentials when I was already earning a substantial income and experiencing career advancement. The underlying tension in these reactions reflected different perspectives about the value of education and professional development compared to the immediate financial needs that were affecting other family members. Carmen's increasing pressure for me to provide direct financial assistance for her student loan obligations became more explicit during family gatherings, as she argued that my inheritance from Isabella should be viewed as family resources that could be used to address collective family needs rather than individual wealth that I was entitled to manage independently. Her arguments emphasized the arbitrary nature of inheritance distributions and suggested that Isabella's estate planning decisions reflected outdated thinking about individual responsibility versus family mutual support obligations. My parents' support for Carmen's perspective on family financial obligations reflected their growing concern about her debt levels and uncertain career prospects, as well as their own mortgage payment difficulties that were straining their monthly budget and limiting their ability to provide financial assistance to Carmen themselves. Their approach to addressing these challenges increasingly focused on my ability to provide solutions rather than exploring alternatives that would address the underlying problems through improved financial discipline and planning. The pressure to use my inheritance to address family financial problems created internal conflict as I struggled to balance legitimate concerns about family welfare with recognition that providing easy financial solutions would undermine the lessons about responsibility and discipline that Isabella had tried to teach through her estate planning decisions. The trust structure that governed Carmen's inheritance distribution was specifically designed to prevent the type of poor financial decisions that had created her current difficulties, while my immediate access to principal amounts reflected Isabella's confidence in my financial judgment and discipline. The professional demands of my advancing career at Meridian required increasing time commitments for client meetings, research projects, and continuing education activities that limited my availability for family discussions about financial problems and potential solutions. This reduced availability was sometimes interpreted as avoidance rather than professional responsibility, creating additional tension within family relationships that were already strained by disagreements about financial obligations and mutual support expectations. The investment committee responsibilities that accompanied my promotion to senior analyst involved participation in monthly strategy sessions where senior investment professionals reviewed market conditions, economic outlook, and portfolio positioning, recommendations that would affect client investment performance and satisfaction. These responsibilities required substantial preparation time and analytical work that demonstrated my growing importance within Meridian's organizational structure, while providing valuable experience with institutional decision-making processes and leadership development opportunities. My presentation to the investment committee regarding technology sector opportunities during market volatility received recognition from senior management and resulted in implementation of several research recommendations that generated substantial returns for client portfolios during subsequent market recovery periods. This success enhanced my professional reputation within the firm, while validating the analytical approach and investment philosophy that I had developed through combining Isabella's fundamental analysis teachings with modern portfolio management techniques and risk assessment methodologies. The bonus compensation that resulted from successful investment recommendations and client satisfaction ratings provided additional financial resources that could theoretically address some of the family financial challenges that were creating ongoing pressure and conflict within family relationships. However, the use of professional earnings to solve problems created by other family members' poor financial decisions would establish precedents and expectations that could undermine both my long-term financial security and the family members' incentives to develop better financial discipline and planning capabilities. The growing divergence between my professional success and financial security compared to the mounting problems experienced by other family members created an increasingly unsustainable dynamic that would soon require resolution through either capitulation to family pressure or establishment of clear boundaries that prioritized long-term family welfare over short-term financial relief. The lessons that Isabella had taught me about financial responsibility and the importance of making decisions based on sound principles rather than emotional pressure would soon face their most significant test as family expectations escalated toward demands for immediate financial assistance. As the third year of my professional career concluded with recognition as Meridian's outstanding junior analyst and corresponding salary advancement to $95,000 plus substantial performance bonuses, the stage was being set for the family crisis that would ultimately reveal the true character and values of family members who viewed my success as an opportunity for their own financial relief, rather than validation of the educational investments and disciplined approach to wealth building that Isabella had promoted throughout her life. The foundation had been established for conflicts that would test everything I had learned about financial stewardship, family loyalty, and personal integrity in ways that would determine both my professional future and the nature of my relationships with family members who increasingly viewed my resources as solutions to their own financial failures and poor decisions. The beginning of my fourth year at Meridian Financial Group brought unprecedented professional opportunities alongside escalating family pressures that would test the fundamental principles Isabella had instilled regarding financial responsibility, family loyalty, and personal integrity. The promotion to senior portfolio manager represented recognition of my analytical capabilities and client relationship skills, while simultaneously making my growing wealth and professional success more visible to family members who increasingly viewed my resources as potential solutions to their mounting financial difficulties. The enhanced responsibilities of my new position included direct management of discretionary investment accounts exceeding $15 million in total assets, requiring sophisticated understanding of asset allocation strategies, risk management techniques, and the complex regulatory environment governing fiduciary investment management. These responsibilities represented substantial professional advancement for someone with less than 4 years of industry experience, reflecting Meridian's confidence in my ability to deliver superior investment performance while maintaining the highest standards of client service and regulatory compliance. Robert Chen's guidance during this transition emphasized the importance of maintaining analytical discipline and long-term investment perspective, despite the pressure to generate short-term performance that satisfied clients' immediate expectations and competitive benchmarking requirements. His mentorship included detailed discussions about the psychological challenges faced by investment managers who must balance client satisfaction with adherence to sound investment principles, particularly during market volatility periods when emotional reactions could undermine carefully constructed portfolio strategies and long-term wealth-building objectives. The client base assigned to my portfolio management responsibilities included several institutional accounts, such as pension funds and endowments, along with high-net-worth individuals who required comprehensive wealth management services, including estate planning coordination, tax optimization strategies, and intergenerational wealth transfer planning. These sophisticated clients demanded exceptional analytical rigor and communication skills, while providing valuable learning opportunities about advanced financial planning techniques and investment strategies that would enhance my professional development and industry expertise. My investment philosophy, which combined Isabella's fundamental analysis approach with modern portfolio theory and quantitative risk management techniques, proved particularly effective during market correction, periods when emotional selling created opportunities to acquire quality securities at attractive valuations. The disciplined approach to security selection and patient long-term holding strategies generated portfolio performance that consistently ranked in the top quartile among peer investment managers, earning recognition from both clients and industry publications that tracked investment performance and manager rankings. The financial success of my professionally managed portfolios paralleled the continued growth of Isabella's inheritance, which had expanded to approximately $520,000 through careful application of the same fundamental analysis principles that guided my client investment decisions. This personal wealth accumulation provided additional financial security while demonstrating the long-term effectiveness of Isabella's investment philosophy when applied consistently across different market cycles and economic conditions. The professional recognition that accompanied my portfolio management success included invitations to speak at industry conferences about technology sector investment strategies and fundamental analysis techniques, opportunities that enhanced my reputation within the financial services community while building the network of professional relationships that would support continued career advancement. These speaking engagements required substantial preparation time and represented additional responsibilities beyond my primary client service and portfolio management obligations. During this period of accelerating professional success, family dynamics reached a critical inflection point as Carmen's student loan obligations approached their maximum deferment periods, while her academic progress remained minimal despite more than 6 years of enrollment in undergraduate programs. The accumulated debt exceeded $75,000 when including capitalized interest and fees, representing a substantial financial burden that would require immediate attention. Once the deferment options were exhausted and regular payment obligations resumed, Carmen's approach to addressing her debt crisis involved increasingly desperate attempts to extend deferment periods through various hardship claims and academic program modifications, strategies that delayed immediate payment requirements while allowing interest capitalization to increase the total amount owed. Her reluctance to accept employment that would generate sufficient income to service the debt reflected both unrealistic expectations about entry-level compensation for individuals without degree completion and unwillingness to modify lifestyle choices that conflicted with debt reduction priorities. My parents' response to Carmen's escalating financial crisis involved renewed pressure for me to provide direct assistance that would prevent default on her student loan obligations. Arguments that emphasized family solidarity and mutual support, while minimizing the importance of personal responsibility and financial discipline. Their advocacy for Carmen increasingly focused on my ability to solve the problem through inheritance funds, rather than exploring alternatives that would address the underlying issues of academic underperformance and poor financial planning that had created the crisis. The mortgage payment difficulties that my parents continued to experience had worsened due to additional rate increases that raised their monthly obligations by nearly $400, creating budget strain that limited their ability to provide financial assistance to Carmen while threatening their own housing security. Their failure to refinance to fixed-rate terms during favorable interest rate periods reflected the same lack of financial planning and risk management that had characterized their approach to money management throughout their adult lives. The family meeting convened during Thanksgiving weekend represented a coordinated effort to pressure me into providing financial solutions for both Carmen's student loan crisis and my parents' mortgage payment difficulties, with the total requested assistance approaching $150,000 when including immediate debt service relief and ongoing monthly payment support. The presentation of these requests as family obligations rather than voluntary assistance reflected a fundamental misunderstanding of inheritance rights and individual financial responsibility that would have appalled Isabella had she witnessed such manipulation of her estate planning intentions. Carmen's emotional presentation during this family meeting emphasized the unfairness of inheritance distribution decisions that provided me with immediate access to substantial funds while restricting her access to resources that could address her immediate financial needs. Her arguments suggested that Isabella's trust structure reflected outdated thinking about individual responsibility and failed to recognize the legitimate financial challenges faced by students in contemporary educational environments with rising tuition costs and limited employment opportunities. My parents' support for Carmen's position included criticism of my reluctance to provide immediate financial assistance, despite my obvious ability to address family financial problems through inheritance funds and professional income. Their arguments emphasized traditional family values of mutual support and collective responsibility, while suggesting that my focus on individual financial goals represented selfishness and abandonment of family obligations that had been central to our cultural heritage and family traditions. The coordinated nature of these requests and the emotional manipulation tactics employed during the family meeting revealed careful planning and strategy development that transformed what might have been individual financial requests into a comprehensive campaign designed to overcome my resistance through guilt, family loyalty appeals, and social pressure from multiple family members simultaneously. The timing of this campaign during holiday gatherings ensured maximum emotional impact, while making refusal appear particularly harsh and uncaring to family members who were experiencing genuine financial stress. My response to these coordinated demands emphasized the importance of maintaining the integrity of Isabella's estate planning decisions while offering alternative forms of assistance that would address underlying problems rather than simply providing temporary financial relief that failed to promote long-term financial responsibility and improved decision-making capabilities. These alternative suggestions included educational support for financial planning, assistance with debt consolidation and payment restructuring, and guidance regarding career development strategies that could generate sustainable income to service debt obligations. The family's rejection of these alternative assistance offers revealed their preference for immediate financial solutions over longer-term approaches that would require personal responsibility and lifestyle modifications to address the root causes of their financial difficulties. This rejection confirmed that their primary interest involved accessing my inheritance funds rather than solving the underlying problems that had created their financial crises, validating Isabella's concerns about the potential for inheritance to enable poor financial behavior, rather than promoting improved decision-making and personal development. The escalation of family pressure following my refusal to provide immediate financial assistance included threats to publicize my alleged selfishness and abandonment of family obligations to extended family members, friends, and community associates, who might influence my reputation and professional relationships. These threats represented attempts at social coercion designed to force compliance with family demands through reputational damage and social pressure that could potentially affect my career advancement and professional networking opportunities. Carmen's specific threats included social media campaigns that would portray me as someone who abandoned family members in financial crisis, despite having substantial resources available to provide assistance. Narratives that would omit the context of poor financial decisions and lack of personal responsibility that had created the problems requiring intervention. These threats revealed both the depth of her resentment about inheritance distribution decisions and her willingness to damage family relationships permanently in pursuit of immediate financial relief. My parents' escalation tactics included suggestions that they might need to sell their home and move to less expensive housing if I continued to refuse assistance with mortgage payment obligations, scenarios presented as inevitable consequences of my selfishness rather than natural results of their own poor financial planning and risk management decisions. These manipulative narratives were designed to transfer responsibility for their financial difficulties from their own choices to my unwillingness to provide financial bailouts that would temporarily address symptoms while leaving underlying problems unresolved. The professional counseling I sought during this period to address the stress and emotional manipulation associated with family financial demands provided valuable perspective about the psychological dynamics involved in family financial relationships and the importance of maintaining appropriate boundaries despite intense emotional pressure and guilt-based manipulation tactics. The counselor's guidance emphasized that enabling poor financial behavior through bailouts often harmed rather than helped family members by preventing them from developing necessary skills and discipline for effective financial management. The investment in professional counseling services represented recognition that family financial dynamics could significantly impact both personal well-being and professional performance, if not addressed through appropriate support and guidance from qualified professionals who understood the complex psychological and ethical issues involved in family wealth management. These counseling sessions provided strategies for managing guilt and family pressure, while maintaining commitment to sound financial principles and long-term family welfare considerations. The continued strong performance of my professionally managed portfolios during this period of personal stress demonstrated the importance of maintaining analytical discipline and investment process integrity despite external pressures and emotional challenges that could undermine decision-making capabilities and risk management procedures. The ability to compartmentalize personal difficulties while delivering superior professional performance reflected both emotional maturity and commitment to fiduciary responsibilities that clients had entrusted to my management and stewardship. The year-end performance evaluation and bonus determination process at Meridian resulted in recognition as the firm's outstanding portfolio manager for the calendar year, accompanied by bonus compensation exceeding $40,000 and salary advancement to $115,000 for the following year. This professional recognition validated my analytical capabilities and client service excellence while providing additional financial resources that ironically intensified family pressure for financial assistance by demonstrating my growing wealth and earning capacity. The contrast between my accelerating professional success and the mounting financial crises affecting other family members created an increasingly untenable dynamic that would soon require resolution through either capitulation to family demands or establishment of firm boundaries that prioritized long-term financial responsibility over short-term crisis management. The lessons Isabella had taught about financial discipline and the importance of making decisions based on sound principles rather than emotional manipulation would face their ultimate test as family pressure reached levels that threatened both my personal well-being and professional effectiveness. As the fourth year of my career concluded with unprecedented professional achievement and corresponding financial growth, the foundation had been established for the family crisis that would ultimately reveal the true character of relationships I had assumed were based on love and mutual respect, rather than opportunistic exploitation of my financial success and inherited wealth. The stage was set for demands that would escalate beyond requests for assistance toward expectations of complete capitulation to family financial needs, testing everything Isabella had taught me about the importance of maintaining personal integrity, while protecting both individual and collective family welfare through appropriate boundaries and principled decision-making processes. The weeks following the coordinated Thanksgiving confrontation marked a dramatic escalation in family pressure tactics as my parents and Carmen implemented a comprehensive campaign designed to force compliance with their financial demands through systematic emotional manipulation and social isolation strategies. The holiday season, traditionally a time of family celebration and gratitude, became a battlefield where every interaction was calculated to maximize guilt and minimize my resistance to providing the substantial financial assistance they believed they were entitled to receive from my inheritance and professional success. The strategic nature of their approach became evident through the coordinated timing of their communications and the consistent messaging themes that emphasized my alleged selfishness and abandonment of family responsibilities during times of genuine financial crisis. These coordinated efforts revealed careful planning and discussion among family members who had apparently concluded that their individual requests had been insufficient to overcome my resistance, necessitating a unified campaign that would isolate me from family support while maximizing emotional pressure through multiple simultaneous channels. Carmen's social media strategy represented the most visible and potentially damaging component of their campaign, as she began posting carefully crafted messages about family loyalty, financial responsibility, and the moral obligations that accompany inherited wealth. These posts avoided direct references to our family situation while clearly communicating to our extended network of relatives, friends, and professional acquaintances that someone within our family was refusing to provide assistance during difficult financial circumstances despite having substantial resources available for such purposes. The sophisticated nature of Carmen's social media campaign included strategic sharing of articles about family financial obligations, inheritance responsibilities, and the moral dimensions of wealth inequality within families, content that created implicit criticism of my position while building public pressure for me to conform to societal expectations about family mutual support. These posts generated supportive comments from family friends and distant relatives who lacked complete information about the circumstances involved, creating an echo chamber of criticism that reinforced the narrative of my alleged selfishness and moral failure. My parents' contribution to this pressure campaign involved reaching out to aunts, uncles, and family friends with carefully framed updates about their financial difficulties and Carmen's student loan crisis, conversations that emphasized their genuine need for assistance while highlighting my apparent unwillingness to help, despite my obvious financial capacity to address their problems. These communications were presented as requests for advice and emotional support rather than explicit attempts to build pressure against me. But the consistent messaging and timing suggested coordinated strategy rather than spontaneous expressions of concern. The extended family members who received these communications began contacting me directly with suggestions about family responsibility and the importance of helping relatives during financial difficulties, conversations that revealed how successfully my parents had framed the situation to portray me as someone who was abandoning family obligations in favor of personal financial goals. These well-meaning relatives lacked complete information about the circumstances that had created the financial crises, including the poor decision-making and lack of financial discipline that had characterized both Carmen's approach to education and my parents' mortgage and financial planning strategies. The holiday party season provided additional opportunities for family members to implement their pressure campaign through social gatherings, where they could present their perspective, to extended family and family friends who might influence my decision-making through social pressure and moral persuasion. These gatherings became uncomfortable experiences where I found myself defending decisions that should have been personal financial choices rather than subjects for family debate and community judgment. The professional implications of this family pressure campaign began to emerge as some of the criticism and social media content reached colleagues and clients within my professional network, creating potential reputational risks that could affect my career advancement and client relationships. The financial services industry placed substantial emphasis on personal character and ethical decision-making, making family financial disputes potentially problematic for professionals whose careers depended on maintaining trust and confidence. Among clients and colleagues who entrusted them with substantial financial responsibilities, Robert Chen's guidance during this difficult period included discussions about the importance of maintaining professional boundaries and protecting career interests, while managing personal family conflicts that could spill over into professional environments. His advice emphasized the need to address family financial disputes privately, while ensuring that professional obligations and client responsibilities remained completely separate from personal family dynamics that might otherwise compromise my effectiveness as a portfolio manager and client advisor. The new year period brought an escalation in family demands, as Carmen's student loan deferment options were finally exhausted, and payment obligations of nearly $800 monthly were scheduled to begin, creating immediate financial pressure that could no longer be delayed through administrative maneuvering and hardship claims. The reality of these payment obligations, combined with her continued lack of meaningful income from employment or near-term prospects for degree completion, created genuine financial crisis that would require immediate resolution through either default or external financial assistance. My parents' mortgage payment difficulties had similarly reached a critical stage, as their adjustable rate loan reset to interest levels that increased their monthly obligations beyond their comfortable payment capacity, creating budget strain that affected their ability to maintain their accustomed lifestyle while meeting basic housing obligations. Their reluctance to consider downsizing to more affordable housing or implementing substantial lifestyle modifications reflected the same financial discipline problems that had created their current difficulties. The family meeting convened in early January represented their final attempt to secure voluntary compliance with their financial assistance requests before implementing more aggressive tactics designed to force my cooperation through legal challenges or public pressure campaigns that could affect my professional reputation and career prospects. The tone of this meeting was markedly different from previous discussions, with family members presenting their requests as non-negotiable demands rather than appeals for voluntary assistance from someone who had the capacity to help during difficult circumstances. Carmen's presentation during this meeting included detailed calculations of her monthly payment obligations and living expenses, along with projections showing that default on her student loans was inevitable without immediate assistance from family sources who possessed the financial capacity to prevent such outcomes. Her emotional appeal emphasized the long-term consequences of student loan default, including damaged credit ratings and potential wage garnishment that would severely limit her future financial opportunities and career prospects, regardless of eventual degree completion. My parents' financial presentation focused on the immediate risk of foreclosure proceedings if they were unable to resume regular mortgage payments within the next 60 days, scenarios that would result in loss of their home and substantial damage to their credit ratings that could affect their housing options and financial security during their approaching retirement years. Their presentation emphasized that my assistance could prevent catastrophic outcomes that would have permanent negative consequences for their financial security and quality of life. The emotional manipulation tactics employed during this meeting included accusations that my refusal to provide assistance represented betrayal of family values and abandonment of relatives who had supported my educational and professional development during earlier stages of my career. These accusations conveniently ignored the substantial financial investments that Isabella had made in my education, along with the disciplined approach to financial management that had enabled my professional success and wealth accumulation through sound decision-making rather than family financial support. The ultimatum presented during this meeting established a 2-week deadline for me to commit to providing the requested financial assistance, with explicit threats about the consequences that would follow if I continued to refuse their demands. For access to inheritance funds that they claimed should be viewed as family resources rather than individual wealth. These threats included legal challenges to Isabella's estate planning decisions, public campaigns about my alleged abandonment of family responsibilities, and social pressure tactics that could affect my professional reputation and personal relationships. The legal threats involved potential challenges to Isabella's will and trust documents based on claims of undue influence and mental incapacity during the estate planning process, arguments that would require substantial legal fees and create prolonged uncertainty about inheritance distributions while generating negative publicity that could affect my professional standing within the financial services community. These threats represented particularly cynical manipulation tactics, given that family members had previously accepted the estate distributions without objection and had only developed concerns about Isabella's mental capacity after their own financial difficulties created desire for access to inheritance funds. My consultation with estate planning attorneys regarding these threatened legal challenges confirmed that Isabella's estate planning documents were properly executed and legally sound, with extensive documentation of her mental capacity and decision-making, rationale that would make successful challenges extremely difficult and expensive for family members to pursue. However, the attorneys also warned that defending against frivolous challenges could require substantial legal fees and create prolonged uncertainty that might pressure me toward settlement arrangements that would partially satisfy family demands rather than risk extended litigation processes. The psychological toll of this sustained pressure campaign began affecting both my personal well-being and professional performance, as the stress of managing family conflicts while maintaining portfolio management responsibilities created mental and emotional strain that required active management through counseling support and stress reduction strategies. The counseling sessions provided valuable coping techniques while reinforcing the importance of maintaining appropriate boundaries. Despite family pressure tactics that were designed to break down resistance through sustained emotional manipulation, the professional support I received from Robert Chen and other senior colleagues at Meridian included assurances that the firm would support me through any reputational challenges that might arise from family financial disputes, while emphasizing the importance of resolving these conflicts in ways that protected both my personal interests and professional effectiveness. This support provided confidence that my career advancement would not be compromised by family members' threats and manipulation tactics, reducing one source of vulnerability that they had hoped to exploit. The financial analysis I conducted regarding the potential costs and benefits of providing the requested assistance revealed that meeting family demands would require liquidation of approximately 30% of my inheritance portfolio, significantly reducing my long-term wealth-building capacity while providing only temporary relief for problems that would likely recur due to the underlying financial discipline issues that had created the current crises. This analysis confirmed that providing immediate financial assistance would enable, rather than solve the fundamental problems affecting family members' financial security and decision-making capabilities. The deadline established by family members for my response to their ultimatum created artificial urgency designed to prevent careful consideration of alternatives and force emotional decision-making that would favor their immediate financial interests over longer-term considerations about family welfare and financial responsibility. This manipulation tactic reflected sophisticated understanding of negotiation psychology while revealing their willingness to employ coercive strategies rather than engage in good faith discussions about sustainable solutions to their financial difficulties. The support I received from professional counselors and financial planning colleagues emphasized that my reluctance to provide immediate financial bailouts was consistent with sound principles of family financial planning and personal development, while noting that enabling poor financial behavior through repeated assistance often created dependency relationships that harmed rather than helped the individuals receiving such support. This professional guidance provided confidence that my position was ethically sound, despite the emotional pressure and guilt-based manipulation tactics being employed by family members. As the 2-week deadline approached, the intensity of family pressure campaigns escalated through increased frequency of communications, more aggressive social media content, and expanded outreach to extended family members and community associates who might provide additional pressure for me to comply with their demands. These escalation tactics revealed their growing desperation while demonstrating their commitment to pursuing any available leverage that might force me to provide the financial assistance they believed they were entitled to receive from my inheritance and professional success. The stage was now set for the final confrontation that would determine whether I would capitulate to family pressure and provide the requested financial assistance despite my concerns about enabling poor financial behavior, or maintain my commitment to Isabella's principles of financial responsibility while accepting the personal and social consequences that would result from refusing to meet family expectations about inheritance distribution and mutual financial support obligations. The final weekend before the family ultimatum deadline arrived with the weight of 4 years of escalating financial pressure condensed into a decision that would fundamentally alter both my relationship with my family and my commitment to the principles Isabella had instilled regarding financial responsibility and personal integrity. The 2-week period since the January confrontation had been characterized by increasingly desperate communications from family members who recognized that their coordinated pressure campaign had failed to achieve the desired capitulation to their financial demands. The strategic preparation I undertook during this decisive period involved comprehensive consultation with estate planning attorneys, financial advisors, and psychological counselors who could provide professional guidance about the complex legal, financial, and emotional dimensions of the situation I faced. These consultations confirmed that my position was both legally sound and ethically justified, while providing frameworks for managing the personal and professional consequences that would inevitably result from maintaining my refusal to provide the requested financial assistance. The legal analysis conducted by Isabella's original estate planning attorney revealed that her will and trust documents were meticulously crafted with extensive documentation of her mental capacity and decision-making rationale that would make successful challenges virtually impossible for family members to pursue through court proceedings. The attorney emphasized that Isabella had specifically anticipated potential family conflicts over inheritance distributions and had structured her estate plan with protective provisions designed to prevent manipulation and coercion of beneficiaries who might face pressure to redistribute assets contrary to her expressed intentions. The financial modeling I completed with my professional advisor demonstrated that providing the requested assistance totaling $150,000 would require liquidation of approximately 28% of my current investment portfolio, significantly reducing my long-term wealth-building capacity while providing only temporary relief for problems that would likely recur due to the underlying financial discipline issues affecting family members. This analysis confirmed that such assistance would represent poor financial stewardship that contradicted the wealth-building principles Isabella had taught throughout my educational development. The psychological counseling sessions during this period focused on developing strategies for managing guilt and family pressure, while maintaining commitment to sound financial principles that prioritized long-term family welfare over short-term crisis intervention. The counselor emphasized that enabling poor financial behavior through repeated bailouts often created dependency relationships that prevented individuals from developing necessary skills for effective financial management, ultimately harming, rather than helping the people who received such assistance. The professional support network I had developed within the financial services industry provided additional perspective about the ethical dimensions of family financial relationships and the importance of maintaining appropriate boundaries despite emotional manipulation and social pressure tactics. These conversations with experienced colleagues who had navigated similar challenges reinforced that my position was consistent with industry best practices regarding fiduciary responsibility and sound financial planning principles. The final family meeting was scheduled for Saturday evening at my parents' home, a setting chosen to maximize emotional pressure through familiar surroundings and childhood memories that might undermine my analytical decision-making processes. The timing was deliberately scheduled during weekend hours when emotional stress would be heightened and professional support systems would be less accessible, demonstrating continued sophistication in their psychological manipulation strategies. My preparation for this confrontation included detailed documentation of family members' financial decisions and circumstances that had created their current difficulties, information that would support my position while demonstrating that their problems resulted from poor planning and lack of financial discipline rather than external circumstances beyond their control. This documentation would prove essential for maintaining perspective during emotional appeals and guilt-based manipulation tactics that would inevitably be employed during the meeting. The transportation arrangements for attending this meeting included backup plans for immediate departure if family members escalated to verbal abuse or threats that might compromise my personal safety or emotional well-being. These precautions reflected recognition that desperate people facing financial crises might employ extreme tactics when their manipulation strategies failed to achieve desired outcomes, particularly when substantial financial resources were at stake. The meeting began with my parents presenting updated financial projections that emphasized the immediate urgency of their mortgage payment difficulties and the catastrophic consequences that would result from foreclosure proceedings if assistance was not provided within the next 30 days. Their presentation included emotional appeals about losing the family home where I had grown up, scenarios designed to trigger childhood attachments and family loyalty that might override analytical considerations about the underlying causes of their financial difficulties. Carmen's contribution to this final appeal focused on the professional and personal consequences she would face if student loan defaults were reported to credit agencies and potential employers, outcomes that would severely limit her future opportunities, regardless of eventual degree completion or career development efforts. Her presentation emphasized that preventing these consequences would require only a small fraction of my inheritance resources, while providing benefits that would last throughout her adult life and career development. The coordinated nature of their presentations revealed extensive preparation and strategic planning designed to present their strongest possible arguments while minimizing discussion of the poor financial decisions and lack of personal responsibility that had created their current circumstances. Their approach emphasized immediate crisis intervention rather than sustainable solutions that would address underlying problems and prevent similar difficulties in the future. My response to these final appeals began with acknowledgement of their genuine financial difficulties, while emphasizing that providing immediate financial assistance would enable rather than solve the fundamental problems affecting their financial security and decision-making capabilities. This response included detailed explanation of alternative assistance approaches that would address underlying issues through education, planning support, and gradual behavior modification rather than crisis intervention that would likely prove temporary and ineffective. The alternative assistance proposals I presented included offers to pay for financial planning education and debt counseling services that could help family members develop better money management skills and create sustainable approaches to addressing their current difficulties. These proposals also included assistance with budget development, debt consolidation planning, and career counseling services that could address root causes rather than simply providing temporary financial relief that would likely prove insufficient and unsustainable. The family's rejection of these alternative assistance offers was immediate and categorical, revealing that their primary interest involved accessing inheritance funds rather than solving underlying problems that had created their financial crises. Their dismissive response to educational and planning assistance confirmed that they viewed my resources as solutions to immediate problems rather than opportunities for long-term improvement in financial management capabilities and decision-making processes. The emotional escalation that followed my refusal to provide immediate financial assistance included accusations of selfishness, family abandonment, and betrayal of cultural values that emphasized collective responsibility over individual financial goals. These accusations were accompanied by threats to permanently sever family relationships and public campaigns that would damage my professional reputation within the financial services community, where character and ethical behavior were essential for career advancement and client confidence. Carmen's response included specific threats about social media campaigns that would portray me as someone who allowed family members to lose their home and face financial ruin, despite having substantial resources available to prevent such outcomes. These threats were designed to create reputational risks that could affect my professional relationships and client confidence, demonstrating willingness to damage my career prospects in pursuit of immediate financial assistance. My parents' escalation tactics included suggestions that they had provided emotional and financial support during my educational years that created moral obligations for reciprocal assistance during their current difficulties, arguments that conveniently ignored Isabella's substantial educational investments while mischaracterizing normal parental responsibilities as exceptional sacrifices that warranted financial compensation. These manipulative narratives were designed to create guilt and obligation that might override analytical considerations about sound financial planning and family welfare. The final ultimatum presented during this meeting demanded immediate commitment to providing the requested financial assistance with transfer of funds to be completed within 1 week. Failing, which family members would implement their threatened legal challenges and public pressure campaigns, regardless of the potential consequences for family relationships and my professional reputation. This ultimatum represented complete abandonment of negotiation or compromise in favor of coercive tactics designed to force compliance through fear and intimidation. My response to this ultimatum was clear and unequivocal refusal to provide the requested financial assistance under any circumstances, accompanied by detailed explanation of why such assistance would violate both Isabella's estate planning intentions and sound principles of family financial planning that prioritized long-term welfare over short-term crisis intervention. This response included explicit statement that I would not be intimidated by threats or manipulation tactics, regardless of their potential consequences for family relationships or professional standing. The immediate aftermath of my refusal was characterized by explosive anger and emotional accusations that revealed the depth of family members' sense of entitlement to my inheritance resources and their fundamental misunderstanding of inheritance rights and individual financial responsibilities. Their responses included personal attacks and character assassinations that demonstrated complete abandonment of family loyalty in favor of financial opportunism and exploitative behavior. The termination of this meeting occurred when verbal abuse escalated to levels that threatened my emotional well-being and personal safety, requiring immediate departure, despite continued attempts by family members to prevent my leaving until I agreed to reconsider my position. This confrontation revealed the extent to which family members were willing to employ extreme tactics when their manipulation strategies failed to achieve desired financial outcomes. The drive home from this final confrontation provided opportunity for reflection about the decision I had made and the consequences that would inevitably follow from refusing to capitulate to family financial demands despite intense pressure and emotional manipulation. The relief I felt at having maintained my commitment to Isabella's principles was accompanied by sadness about the apparent end of family relationships that I had assumed were based on love and mutual respect, rather than financial opportunism and exploitation. The professional counseling sessions scheduled for the following Monday provided essential support for processing the emotional trauma associated with this family confrontation, while reinforcing that my decision was ethically sound and consistent with responsible financial planning principles. The counselor emphasized that my refusal to enable poor financial behavior through bailouts represented genuine care for family members' long-term welfare, despite their inability to recognize such considerations during their current financial crisis. The legal consultation conducted that same week confirmed that family members' threatened challenges to Isabella's estate planning documents would face insurmountable obstacles given the extensive documentation of her mental capacity and decision-making, rationale that had been prepared specifically to prevent such manipulation tactics. The attorney advised maintaining detailed records of all family communications and threats, while avoiding any actions that might be construed as provocation or retaliation for their attempted coercion. The implementation of enhanced security measures for my personal and professional communications became necessary due to family members' threats about public campaigns and social media attacks that could affect my reputation and career prospects. These protective measures included privacy settings adjustments, communication monitoring, and preparation of factual responses to potential misinformation that might be circulated about my character and family relationships. The notification I provided to Robert Chen and senior management at Meridian about potential family-related reputational challenges ensured that my professional colleagues were prepared to address any negative publicity or client concerns that might arise from family members' threatened campaigns. This transparency about personal difficulties demonstrated professional maturity while protecting the firm's interests and my career advancement prospects. As the week concluded following my definitive refusal to provide financial assistance, the foundation had been established for the family retaliation that would test everything Isabella had taught me about maintaining personal integrity while protecting both individual and collective welfare through principled decision-making processes. The principles of financial responsibility and appropriate boundary setting that had guided my decision would soon face their ultimate validation through the consequences that would flow from family members' response to being denied access to inheritance resources they had come to view as solutions to their own financial failures and poor planning decisions. The week following my definitive refusal to provide financial assistance marked the beginning of a systematic retaliation campaign that would test every aspect of the professional and personal foundation I had built through years of disciplined effort and principled decision-making. The silence that followed the explosive confrontation at my parents' home was deceptive, creating a false sense that family members might be reconsidering their approach or seeking alternative solutions to their financial difficulties through more appropriate channels that did not require exploitation of my inheritance resources. The initial phase of their retaliation strategy became apparent through subtle changes in family communication patterns and social media activity that preceded more overt attacks on my character and professional reputation. Carmen began posting carefully crafted content about family loyalty and financial responsibility that appeared general in nature, but contained sufficient detail for anyone familiar with our family situation to understand that she was criticizing my refusal to provide assistance during their financial crisis. The sophistication of this social media campaign reflected extensive planning and consultation with individuals who understood reputation management and public relations strategies, suggesting that family members had sought professional advice about maximizing the damage potential of their attacks while minimizing their own legal exposure to defamation claims. The content was designed to build sympathy for their position, while portraying me as someone who possessed substantial resources but lacked compassion for family members experiencing genuine hardship. The escalation to more direct attacks occurred during the second week following our confrontation, when Carmen published a lengthy social media post that detailed her student loan obligations and her parents' mortgage difficulties while explicitly naming me as someone who possessed inheritance resources that could prevent catastrophic outcomes but chose personal financial goals over family welfare. This post included specific financial figures and emotional appeals designed to generate public pressure for me to reconsider my position. The viral nature of Carmen's post exceeded her initial expectations, generating hundreds of shares and comments from individuals who lacked complete information about the circumstances, but responded emotionally to the narrative of family abandonment during financial crisis. The widespread distribution of this content created exposure that reached professional colleagues, clients, and industry contacts who began questioning my character and suitability for positions requiring fiduciary responsibility and ethical decision-making. My immediate response to this social media attack required careful consultation with both legal counsel and public relations professionals who could provide guidance about protecting my reputation while avoiding actions that might escalate the conflict or provide additional ammunition for family members seeking to damage my professional standing. The legal analysis confirmed that Carmen's post contained sufficient factual inaccuracies and misleading statements to support defamation claims. But pursuing such legal remedies would likely generate additional negative publicity that could prove more damaging than the original attacks. The public relations strategy developed during this crisis emphasized transparency and professional integrity while avoiding detailed public discussion of family financial disputes that would be inappropriate for someone in my position within the financial services industry. This approach involved preparing factual statements about my commitment to responsible financial planning and family welfare that could be shared with professional colleagues and clients who might have concerns about my character based on the misleading social media content. The internal communications I provided to senior management at Meridian Financial Group included comprehensive documentation of the family situation and the manipulation tactics being employed to access my inheritance resources, information that demonstrated my commitment to ethical principles and sound financial planning, despite intense personal pressure to compromise these standards. This transparency ensured that firm leadership understood the context surrounding any negative publicity, while confirming my dedication to maintaining professional standards regardless of personal challenges. Robert Chen's response to these developments included strong support for my position and assurance that the firm would stand behind employees who demonstrated integrity and professional ethics, even when facing personal attacks from family members or others seeking to exploit their success. His guidance emphasized that the financial services industry regularly dealt with individuals who faced family pressure regarding inherited wealth, and that my handling of the situation reflected exactly the type of principled decision-making that clients sought from their financial advisors. The client retention analysis conducted during this period revealed minimal impact from the social media attacks, as most clients either had not seen the content or understood that family financial disputes were common among individuals with substantial assets and did not reflect on professional competence or ethical standards. The few clients who expressed concerns were satisfied with brief explanations about my commitment to responsible financial planning and family welfare through appropriate long-term strategies rather than crisis intervention that might enable poor financial behavior. The professional development opportunities that emerged during this crisis included invitations to speak at industry conferences about family wealth management and the ethical challenges faced by financial professionals who must balance family relationships with fiduciary responsibilities and sound financial planning principles. These speaking opportunities provided platforms for sharing insights about managing family financial dynamics while maintaining professional integrity and client focus. The enhanced security measures implemented during this period included comprehensive review of my digital footprint and privacy settings across all professional and personal platforms, ensuring that family members could not access sensitive information that might be used for additional attacks or manipulation attempts. These protective measures also included notification protocols for colleagues and clients who might receive contact from family members seeking to damage my reputation through false or misleading information. The psychological counseling support I continued to receive during this challenging period provided essential coping strategies for managing the stress and emotional impact of sustained attacks from family members while maintaining focus on professional responsibilities and client service obligations. The counselor emphasized that family financial exploitation attempts were unfortunately common among successful individuals, and that my experience reflected broader patterns of manipulation that affected many people who achieved financial success through disciplined effort and sound decision-making. The legal documentation I maintained throughout this period included detailed records of all family communications, social media posts, and public statements that might be relevant for potential future legal proceedings if family members escalated their attacks to levels that required formal intervention through cease and desist orders or defamation claims. This documentation also served to demonstrate the systematic nature of their retaliation campaign and the calculated approach they employed to maximize reputational damage. The financial impact assessment of the family crisis revealed that the stress and distraction associated with managing reputational attacks had minimal effect on my portfolio management performance or client relationships, demonstrating the effectiveness of compartmentalization strategies and professional support systems that enabled continued excellence despite personal challenges. The continued strong performance of client portfolios provided additional evidence of my professional competence and dedication to fiduciary responsibilities. The networking opportunities within the financial services industry expanded during this period as colleagues and industry contacts who learned about my situation through various channels expressed support and shared their own experiences with family financial dynamics and relationship challenges. These conversations provided valuable perspective about the common nature of such difficulties among successful professionals, while building stronger relationships with individuals who appreciated principled decision-making under pressure. The community response to Carmen's social media campaign was mixed, with some individuals expressing support for family financial obligations, while others recognized the manipulation tactics being employed and the importance of maintaining appropriate boundaries in family financial relationships. The more thoughtful responses emphasized the complexity of inheritance distribution and family financial dynamics that could not be adequately addressed through social media commentary or public pressure campaigns. The extended family members, who initially supported my parents, and Carmen began expressing more nuanced views as they learned additional details about the circumstances and recognized the systematic nature of the pressure campaign being directed against me. Several aunts and uncles privately communicated their understanding of my position while expressing disappointment about the public nature of the family conflict and its potential impact on relationships that had previously been characterized by mutual respect and support. The professional recognition I received during this period included acknowledgement from industry publications and professional organizations that highlighted my commitment to ethical financial planning and client service excellence, despite personal challenges that might have compromised the performance of less dedicated professionals. This recognition provided additional validation of my professional competence, while demonstrating that principled decision-making under pressure was valued within the financial services community. The investment performance of my personal portfolio during this stressful period continued to reflect the disciplined approach and long-term perspective that Isabella had taught. With the inheritance funds growing to approximately $560,000 despite market volatility and the emotional pressures associated with family conflicts. This continued growth demonstrated the effectiveness of sound investment principles even during periods of personal stress and external pressure. The strategic planning I conducted for managing the long-term consequences of the family conflict included preparation for potential escalation of their attacks and development of response protocols that would protect both my professional reputation and personal well-being while maintaining commitment to the ethical principles that had guided my decision-making throughout the crisis. This planning emphasized patience and persistence in maintaining professional standards, despite ongoing family pressure and manipulation attempts. The mentorship opportunities that emerged from my experience included informal guidance provided to younger colleagues who faced similar family financial pressures and relationship challenges, sharing insights about maintaining professional integrity while managing personal conflicts that could affect career advancement and client relationships. These mentorship activities provided constructive outlets for my experience while contributing to the professional development of others facing comparable challenges. The quarter-end performance evaluation at Meridian Financial Group resulted in continued recognition of my analytical capabilities and client service excellence, with specific acknowledgement of my ability to maintain professional standards and performance quality, despite personal challenges that had affected my family relationships and public reputation. This evaluation included salary advancement to $125,000 and expanded responsibilities that reflected continued confidence in my professional competence and ethical standards. The social impact of the family conflict extended beyond immediate professional considerations to affect relationships with mutual friends and community associates who were exposed to the negative publicity generated by Carmen's social media campaign and my parents' efforts to build support for their position. Some relationships survived these challenges, while others were damaged by the polarizing nature of family financial disputes that forced individuals to choose sides or distance themselves from the controversy entirely. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.